Hey guys, it's Mike Segura here at Subfighter MMA in Laguna Hills, getting ready to fight for Fighters Rep February 18th against Darren Smith. When I was young, probably like 16, we were watching IFL, International Fight League, on just cable television, and I was watching these guys fight in the ring. I talked to my little brother. I told him, hey, I want to do that one day. I want to fight. I want to compete. And so I told him that, and he just looked at me dead in the face and was like, okay, cool. Just fully accepted it at that moment. But at some point in high school, I kind of rebelled against that and took all that energy and kind of made it toxic. Got in a lot of trouble in my later years, even spent a little time in jail. It just, when you have no good outlet, you find all the wrong ones, and eventually you keep knocking on the door, someone's gonna answer it, and they did, and they put me away for a bit. And when I came out, I realized I had to change, and fighting gave me that opportunity. I was born in Long Beach, California, but I grew up in basically all over Orange County, all the different cities out here. So love it out here, still live out here. I moved away for a little bit, but now I'm back, so I love it. I got 3 brothers, grew up with my mom. My parents split when I was young. It was a very rambunctious household. Yeah, it was, we were rough, rough and tumble. And now, as an adult, I have a beautiful wife, Ashley, and we have 2 boys our own. One is 2 years old, about to be 3. The other one's 2 months old. When I was younger, I used to get into a lot of trouble. I think I was a high energy kid. With high energy and a lot of angst in me, I'd get into little fights or little tiffs around, especially my brother. That kind of rough and tumble upbringing led to a lot of desire for fighting, You get your butt kicked enough times, you want to learn how to stop that from happening. In my late teens, early 20s, I met a guy named Raja Shippen. We were working at Chick Sporting Goods in Ladera Ranch, and he told me he was a professional fighter. I didn't believe him at first, but he insisted and said he can come and try his class. I took him up on that offer. Yeah, I started training immediately after meeting Raja. I went to his gym. It was at Joker's Wild, but it was completely inconsistent. I think I was 19 at the time, and so I was in for a month, out for a month. I had no consistency in my life at the time. So training was played with more than anything else. It was just kind of something I dabbled in. I'm going on, I'm training, I'm doing this, I'm dabbling, as well as going to college. And I think I was studying fire tech because my father was a fireman. And halfway through that semester, I just kind of closed the books up, closed the computer up, and I went up to my mom and I looked at her in the face and I said, Mom, I don't want to do school anymore. I want to fight professionally. I remember her sitting down next to me, taking a minute, breathing that in, and then looked at me and said, okay, if you go to practice every day and try your best, I will be at every one of your fights. And I was like, done. Absolutely made that deal. As I matured and as I grew older, I made it a priority, and I started going to a gym up in LA. I think it's called Elite MMA, and I found some consistency there, realized I wanted to do this, decided to move down to Orange County. So I found some friends to find an apartment. I scraped all the money I had together. I got a job. I lived really off of nothing, $20 a week to eat, and paid for the gym, started training, and never stopped. But the training, man, when I first got in was rough. I thought I wanted to be a fighter, and then you go in and you start training with fighters, and you're like, oh my God, now I'm not so sure, right? You have to really rethink this. That when you get hit by someone who does this for a living, when you're around that energy, it's a very different thing. It's very humbling. I had to do it. I had to keep coming back. I wanted to. I pushed it. I pursued it. But I was pretty terrible starting out. It took me a long time to get good. And now I'm happy to say I'm pretty damn good. Yeah, my first fight, I think I was a pretty impatient young man. I started training a little bit consistently and thought I was the man and was like, hey, I want to fight. And the coach at the time was like, we're having an in-house tournament in a couple of weeks. I was like, I want to do it. It's like, you should probably get some more practice in first. I was like, no, I'm good, I want to do it. He's like, okay, he signed me up. You can call it good luck, bad luck, whatever, it just happened. I won. I had another one, and I was able to win that too. When you choose to step into a ring or a cage, when you make that choice, and then that every day the clock's ticking closer to that day, and then you have that anxiety of am I doing enough? Am I prepared for this? Are they training right now? Are they training harder than I am? Are they better than me? Am I not good enough? All these sorts of things will plague your mind. And it's about finding that inner peace and acceptance and just giving into this situation. I am going to fight. When you sit down and you accept that and those words just kind of leave your mouth, I'm going to fight. Then you find a little bit of peace. When you're an adult and you're a grown person and you decide to sign a paper that says, I'm gonna go fist fight with this guy on this date, you have to make peace with that. Otherwise, it'll drive you crazy. When I was younger and I was fighting professionally, I thought I was judged based on every win and loss. That was who I am. The record was who I am. It was tough, especially when you go on a losing streak and you're just like down in the dumps and you decide to go do all the wrong things to make yourself feel better. Like it can be a real toxic relationship. I was fortunate to meet a very nice woman. Having her by my side literally saved my life in many ways. She's pulled me out of some really dark depths. We have 2 beautiful kids. And I realized in the moment that my first son was born, in that very moment, that every single thing that happened in my life was meant to happen. And I'm so happy to have Johnny in my life, to have James in my life. So every single thing, every win, every loss, every bad day, every bad moment, every feeling that I've ever had, totally worth it. Mentality-wise, going into fights now, it's very different. When I was younger, like I said, I was impatient, I was a little bit anxious, I was a little bit trigger happy. I wanted to just jump at every opportunity and I wanted to go. I wasn't necessarily prepared. 34 now, it's the best I've ever been. It's the most mature, the most focused, the most trained, the strongest, the fastest, everything. I'm in my prime. I'm just getting started. I can't wait to get in the ring, to showcase this, to show my boys what I do all day, what I work so hard for, what I put the last 13 years in for. So my mentality now is to show who I am, to show what I've done. It's just my opportunity to show the world what I love to do. I'm fighting Darren Smith. He's very experienced. He's fought a teammate of mine, Josh Smith, way back in the day in Bellator when I was first starting out. So, the guy's been around forever. I have respect for him. I think he's done really well in his last few fights. He's beating some really tough competition. He's a seasoned guy. I'm a seasoned guy. We've been around a long time. We bring a lot of experience into the ring, and I think you're gonna see 2 really well-rounded guys taking it to each other. The opportunity to fight for Fighters Rep came up. It's a kickboxing show, and I've never done kickboxing. And the cool thing about Fighters Rep, I love the rule set. It's very action-oriented, right? So there's not a lot of clinching. It's a lot of just straight up punches, kicks, knees. Like you got to go after it for 3-minute rounds. It's exciting, man. It's kind of freeing too, coming from an MMA background with all the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. Like I get to just go out there and focus on one task, and that's just the striking aspect. I feel free. I feel excited to go and showcase a skill set that I think I'm only allowed to use a part of it in MMA because of all the other elements. You're gonna see a whole other Mike Segura in that ring. Training for this fight, it's very exciting for me. I get to focus solely on my striking art, and I get to put a lot of things together that I haven't been able to before and bring a lot of that with me and feel like I can actually, use it in the live. With MMA, you have to focus on the takedowns, on the grappling, on getting up and all this other stuff. So going into this match, it's been fun to train this way. It's been fun to just strike and stand up and just stay in that element. Now I'm training hard, very hard. I love trading, I love sparring, I love hitting pads, I love it all. I really do, I got a passion for it. So I think you'll see that in the ring. I just predict violence, man. You got 2 seasoned guys who want it, who are gonna bring it. Just violence, man, enjoy it. Enjoy the show. Darren, I know you got a ton of experience, so do I. Let's go out there and put on a show.